GM announcing just moments ago it's upping its EV investment by some $8 billion to $35 billion through 2025.
Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So since day one on this channel, I've been repeating the mantra that the vast majority of legacy automotive manufacturers will not survive the decade. General Motors have recently announced another increase in their investment in the transition towards electric vehicles, and while I commend them for their efforts, in this video we're going to analyze a few of the comments from General Motors CEO Barra that give a few clues into how completely screwed this company is despite their best efforts. The moral of the story here is they're far too late to the party, and unfortunately, General Motors is probably one of the best positioned legacy automotive manufacturers to not actually go bankrupt, yet still I believe they're doomed. Stay tuned to see exactly why. So let's get into the video. And by the way, since I know there's a lot of crypto lovers watching and people who like free stuff, it's your lucky day. For a limited time, you can get up to $250 in free crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, where you can use cryptocurrency to earn interest, borrow cash, and buy or sell crypto. If you want your free crypto, use the link in the description. It also helps out the channel. And if you'd like up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. Unless you don't like free stocks, that is. And if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake, also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it.
Scott, thank you very much. Let's bring in Mary Barra, the chairman and CEO of General Motors, joining us from Washington, D.C. this morning. Mary, this is a huge commitment that General Motors is making. $8 billion to additional battery plants in addition to the 2 you've already committed to. Give me a blueprint, if you could, as you look over the next couple of years.
Well, I think what we're seeing is with the strength of our Ultium platform and our commitment, unwavering commitment to moving to EVs as quickly as possible.
Now, I wonder what could possibly have caused General Motors to want to transition to electric vehicles as fast as possible. Surely it has absolutely nothing to do with this company, this tiny little company you guys probably haven't heard of called Tesla, whose mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Definitely a coincidence, right?
We continue to make advancements. If you go back before the pandemic, we were at 20 billion as we worked through and said we were going to accelerate our move to EVs. We went to 27 billion, and then because of the strength of the Hummer truck, the Hummer EV, the Cadillac Lyriq, and BrightDrop, and other commercial vehicle opportunities we have, in addition to the Chevrolet Silverado, we recognized that we needed additional battery cell capacity.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I could totally be wrong, but in either case, it's a pretty poor outcome, and I'll explain why in a moment. I think Mary Barra at this point in time is talking complete and utter horseshit. I think General Motors are now shitting their pants because they realize they're absolutely fucked because Tesla is eating their lunch. Tesla this year will deliver around 1 million electric vehicles. General Motors' new, updated, accelerated electric vehicle plans include the goal, wait for it, of producing 1 million electric vehicles in 2025. How many vehicles will Tesla be producing in 2025, you ask? Let's have a look at my estimates. Here we are looking at my bear case estimates for Tesla production running all the way out till 2031. 2025, I've got Tesla producing well over 6 million electric vehicles. General Motors is aiming to be producing 1 million electric vehicles. I won't even bother showing you guys the bull case. It's over this figure, obviously, but this is my worst case scenario for Tesla. Mid-decade, they're producing close to 7 million electric vehicles. And General Motors, claiming to be moving as fast as they can towards EVs, currently are aiming for 1 million electric vehicles sold. I mean, guys, you could literally stop the video here. This one data point alone, assuming my assumptions are right, and of course I don't have a time machine, despite my track record suggesting potentially otherwise, but this one piece of information should tell you everything you need to know. This is what Tesla is aiming for approximately. We know they're aiming for around 20 million vehicles a year towards the end of this decade. If you've got a relatively linear ramp, and I know it's not going to be perfect, but you've got a relatively linear ramp that looks something along these lines, Tesla by mid-decade will be producing, let's say 5 at worst case, 6 or so million electric vehicles. And General Motors is aiming for 1 million in 2025. I mean, mic drop moment, like game, set, match. They're going bankrupt. That's all you need to know. They're going bankrupt. Again. Of course, there is a possible alternative explanation. Maybe General Motors aren't shitting their pants and aren't concerned that Tesla is going to eat their lunch and ultimately put them out of business. In that case, the only other logical explanation I can think of for the fact that GM are now accelerating their plans to transition to EVs even sooner is because they're complete and utter morons and didn't realize that there was the underlying demand for consumers for electric vehicles. I mean, shout out to Tesla knowing the demand was there, going out on a limb in 2014 and announcing the Gigafactory, which alone, when fully ramped, would be producing more battery cells than all of the output of everywhere else on planet Earth. So Tesla saw this coming, 7 years ago? General Motors either shitting their pants and being forced by Tesla, or their alternative explanation, oh wow, we didn't realize there was so much demand for this thing. Shout out to 7 years ago, you idiots.
So we're very happy to be announcing today that we'll be adding 2 more additional battery cell manufacturing plants in the U.S. By the end of 2025.
You say the strength of whether it's the Hummer, whether it's the Lyriq, the Bright Drop offerings. Are you hearing back from, your dealers or customers, whether it's on the fleet side or elsewhere, who are saying, yeah, bring it. We want more than what you initially thought?
Actually, Phil, that is exactly it across, whether it's Bright Drop, whether it's some of the commercial vehicle offerings that we're going to have, whether it's the Hummer truck and SUV, the Cadillac Lyriq. Customers we're getting great customer feedback. And as you know, many of these vehicles, if they have been put on sale, they're already sold out. Or when we talk to our fleet customers, very, very strong demand. And then we can't wait to start taking orders for the Cadillac Lyriq. So across the board, we are seeing exceptionally strong reactions and positive response to all of our electric vehicles.
Mary, it's Jim Cramer, and it is so great to see you. Congratulations on everything you're doing, and particularly what you're doing for the environment.
Now, not to be too much of a douche lord here, Jim Cramer, but do we just ignore the 35, 37, 38 million internal combustion engine vehicles General Motors have sold since Mary Barra became CEO in 2014? Do we just ignore them, do we? I guess they're doing a lot for the environment now by saying that they're going to be accelerating their move towards EVs. By the way, if you don't build the EVs because you go bankrupt mid-decade, then probably didn't really do much for the environment anyway, just saying.
So great to see you. How are things going when it comes to what you're going to do with batteries?
I think the work that we're doing, not only do we have one of the largest battery labs in North America.
Now, not to nitpick here too much, but despite what your girlfriend's boyfriend says, size does not matter. In fact, it can often be a contrary indicator. Mary here is talking about General Motors' battery testing lab in Michigan, the biggest battery testing lab in North America. Cool story, bro. We don't really care about the size of your battery testing lab. In fact, that could actually be, as I said, a contrary indicator. Maybe you're wasting resources, you're extremely inefficient. What we really care about is a lean operation, but more importantly than that, the results. If GM's big battery testing lab is so marvelously large, I guess the inference there, Mary's trying to imply that should put GM in a leadership position in terms of battery technology, right? Because they've got a big battery testing lab. It doesn't work like that. In fact, I'd much rather say that they've got the most tiny, lean and efficient battery testing lab in the world, yet still they have the world's best battery technology. But of course, neither of these things are true. So don't get confused by talking about having the biggest this or investing the most money in X, Y or Z. That's not what matters. Resourcefulness is what matters. Doing more with less.
I think the largest battery lab in North America. Our team working in partnership with startup companies as well as LG, and then the work we're doing our own gives us confidence that we're going to be in a leadership position in battery costs. As we introduce the Ultium platform, the cost will go down 40% from what they are today with the Chevrolet Bolt EV, and then by mid-decade, we expect that'll be a 60% reduction.
60% cost reduction. Now, where have I heard that before? Oh, that's right. Almost a year ago at Tesla's Battery Investor Day with the 4680 cell and the structural battery pack. Tesla outlining in detail a plan to drive their battery costs down by 56%. Except here's the thing. Those 4680 cells and the structural battery pack going into production at the end of this year, not mid-decade. Honestly, I think GM said, 56%, let's round that up. Yeah, 60%. Yeah, we're going to aim for 60% cost reduction as well. Just copy what Tesla's doing and assume the same scale that they'll have in 2021 that we'll have in 2025. Yeah, easy math. Now look, I commend General Motors for their efforts here, but Mary Barra is just talking like a politician here, claiming that General Motors are going to have a leadership position in battery technology. This is absolute horseshit. Tell me how this makes sense. If Tesla's costs today are where General Motors is aiming to have their battery costs 4 years later. Come on, guys. I want to take the time to talk a little bit more about this. General Motors sells over 6 million vehicles per year. They're aiming in 2025 to sell 1 million electric vehicles. Give or take, about 15%, maybe even be generous, call it 25% of their total vehicles sold being electric. The single most expensive thing in an electric vehicle is the battery pack. General Motors are at a huge cost disadvantage when compared to Tesla. Tesla has a roadmap to get their costs down to where GM is aiming for 4 years earlier. And on top of that, Tesla's going to have greater economies of scale. They're going to be producing 6+ million electric vehicles the same time that General Motors is producing just 1 million electric vehicles. So here's a few things working against General Motors. They're not going to be able to compete with Tesla on price because their battery costs are going to be much higher, not only because the battery cells themselves are more expensive, but also because they don't have economies of scale. In addition to that, by mid-decade, costs to produce internal combustion engine vehicles will be even higher because A, they're producing less, they have less economies of scale, and B, there's going to be far less demand for internal combustion engine vehicles mid-decade than these idiots realize. Let's think about this for a moment. A year or two from today, EVs will be at price parity or lower just in terms of the sticker price compared to internal combustion engine vehicles, and total cost of ownership is already far lower. So, to be a consumer mid-decade who's dumb enough, yes I use the word dumb enough, to be buying an internal combustion engine vehicle, you have to simultaneously be willing to pay more money for an inferior product and be willing to pay more money for a product that's going to cost you more money to own that has inferior performance that can't be updated in the same way that an electric vehicle can over the air. Basically, you're buying a steaming pile of shit and paying a premium to do so. How many consumers do you think are really going to be doing this? And yes, there'll be some exceptions, but let's be honest about this. It's such a compelling proposition that by mid-decade, demand for internal combustion engine vehicles is falling off a cliff. Yes, some will still be sold. They're going to be making very thin margins on these vehicles. Less production, less economies of scale, rising costs. At the same time, GM can't compete on battery costs with a company like Tesla. This is why I keep telling you guys that they're going bankrupt. They're screwed. The writing is on the wall now. I'm not sure if they realize it. Internally, they're probably shitting their pants. But I really just wanted to talk about these costs a little bit more. There's a lot of nuance here that I think a lot of people are completely missing. This is why I'm able to say with such confidence that most legacy automotive manufacturers will be bankrupt this decade. It's already too late. They're years behind and therefore they're fucked.
And that's not the end. We have a technological roadmap to take even further costs out of the battery cells while improving energy density.
Well, Mary, I know you as a competitive person, but also just someone who cares passionately about the environment. But I want to know, I mean, Elon Musk is someone who really basically tells us he's got a monopoly on everything, particularly monopoly on the environment, monopoly on batteries. When I listen to you, I question whether Elon Musk it may have some competition down the road that he may not be expecting.
Come on, Kramer. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Honestly, I don't think Jim Cramer believes what he's saying there. I think he's just throwing a few softballs to Mary to try and put a positive spin on a clearly dire situation.
Well, I feel very confident with the EV product lineup that we have coming out and the fact that we have exceptionally strong brands, huge customer loyalty, and a lot of customers are going to look to that trusted vehicle and the trusted dealer to say, that's where I want to buy my electric vehicle from.
Okay, so there's a couple of points to address here. Now, first of all, I admit there is a small segment of consumers out there that are so brand loyal that they would willingly insert a pineapple up their butt if it meant they could buy another product from their favorite brand, even if all the evidence, all the facts, all the information suggests that it's a poor consumer decision. So certainly there will be some absolutely vehemently brand loyal GM customers who will not buy any other brand ever, even if it means they're paying more for less. I totally admit that. But in my opinion, this is a relatively small sliver of the market. There's not that many idiots out there. However, Mary using the term the trusted dealer, like customers wanting to go to their trusted dealership. Now, come on, let's be honest here. How many people who don't have a mental illness enjoy the experience of going to a car dealership to make a purchase? Anyone? Oh, that's right. Zero. Literally zero. Why would you want to go there, waste your time? The alternative here is buy a product for an exact price. You know the price. Buy it on your phone in a couple of minutes and you're done. Maybe even 30 seconds done. Versus have to travel to a car dealership, insert stereotype of a sleazy car dealer, have to negotiate on price, not even know what you're going to pay if you're going to get the vehicle, talk shop about throwing in some doormats if you pay this price and that price. Nobody likes that experience unless they're kind of insane. The only reason that GM are even mentioning dealerships right now is because they can't get rid of them. They're so intrinsically tied to their business, they can't tell all the dealers to just go f*** off. No consumer wants to go to a car dealership to buy a vehicle, period. The only reason GM are even mentioning this is because they're stuck with the dealership model. It's archaic, it doesn't benefit the consumer, and nobody enjoys the experience. And also, at this point in time, most dealerships absolutely hate electric vehicles. They're marking them up enormously, they're talking smack, they're talking them down, they're talking down their features, they're not mentioning the low cost of ownership, the low cost of maintenance, etc. Why would that be? Well, spoiler alert, they don't make money on EVs. They make money selling and servicing internal combustion engine vehicles. So
then when you look at the safety and the reliability that is in General Motors products, I feel that we are in an extremely strong position.
Hey, Mary, is this a bad time to mention that Tesla literally makes the 4 safest vehicles ever tested by NHTSA? One more time. Not the 1 safest vehicle, not the number 2. No. All 4 of the top 4 safest vehicles ever tested made by one company, Tesla. Bad time to mention that, I guess. Yeah. Okay, I won't mention it.
To lead in electric vehicles, and we'll stop at nothing short of...
You guys may have heard the expression, actions matter, words do not. Well, Mary Barra there has come out swinging with her answer. We'll stop at nothing short of... and guess what she's about to say? Slightly increasing the number of electric vehicles we produce in certain particular markets over the next half a decade.
To lead in electric vehicles, and we'll stop at nothing short of in North America and then in other markets leading with electric vehicles. Because also we have the opportunity to provide a full range of vehicles, different brands, different price points, to really capture the emotional connection that people have to their vehicle.
I can feel myself about to say something a little bit offensive here, but it's got to be said, so I'm just going to point something out here. The only reason that automotive companies, in fact most companies, have a huge number of different sub-brands is because in general, people are relatively dumb and advertising works. What do I mean by this? Well, here's the thing. If you can spend enough money convincing an average or below average consumer out there that this particular brand is a product for them, you can actually cause people to make really dumb purchasing decisions, completely ignoring the facts and the data, features, functionality, performance, price, and more importantly, value. And you can cause people to make suboptimal consumer decisions by purchasing suboptimal products because you've effectively tricked them with advertising. Now, that's fair, and that's what most of these companies do, but there is an alternative strategy. Rather than having 69 different brands and advertising to all the dullards out there who'll be convinced that this is a brand for them, I drink a lot of beer, therefore I need to buy this truck. I like this, therefore this is the thing for me. Instead, if you just make such a compelling product, one single category killer in each category, for example, one amazing compact SUV, one amazing pickup truck, one amazing compact car, one amazing van, which is Tesla's roadmap, you will dominate. In fact, Tesla's products are so good, they sell themselves. They don't even need to do paid advertising. What Mary was talking about here when she's talking about appealing to consumers' emotions really is being able to brainwash really dumb consumers by advertising and marketing to them, convincing that they need to buy this particular product because it suits them as a consumer, rather than the product being so good that the consumer goes, well, damn, the price, features, functionality, performance, overall value, unmatched. I want a compact SUV. This is the obvious choice in this category. I want a pickup truck. This is the obvious choice in this category. But a funny feeling over the long term that Tesla's approach will be more effective. Just make one extremely compelling, category-killing product in every major segment of terrestrial transport and you will dominate sales. You don't need to advertise and convince people to appeal to their emotions. Rather, you can just appeal to their brains by making the best product, unequivocally the best product, and everything else will look after itself.
Hey, Mary, it's Scott Wapner. It's good to see you this morning. Just following on what Jim asked you, I just saw today Ford's Lincoln brand now expects half of its sales to be all electric models by 2026. Volkswagen's doing its thing. Jim obviously referenced Tesla and Elon Musk. Who is your biggest competitor in your mind? Is it Ford? Is it Volkswagen? Is it Musk?
So guys, I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret. Some of the characteristics, the qualities I look for in a leader. Competence obviously goes with the territory. But beyond that, some of the most important things include honesty and integrity. Now, I know for a fact that General Motors and Mary Barra surely in their mind believe there's a certain company out there that is their number one competitor. They've just been asked who that is. An honest CEO with integrity. would simply name the company and say, look, we believe this company is our biggest competitor, but we believe we can catch up to them, etc., etc., etc. Volkswagen is a great example of this. Herbert Diess has been out there claiming he knows they're trying to catch up with Tesla, okay? He's willing to tell the truth. He's very honest and open about this. What I don't want to see in a leader is, rather than getting an honest answer, instead getting the response of a politician, dodging the question, failing to answer directly, being vague. You know the type of response. So let's see, what kind of leader is Mary Barra?
Well, I've always taken every one of our competitors very seriously, but I also, we are the number one vehicle producer in the United States, number two in China. So we're going to keep doing what it takes to satisfy the customer better than anyone else, not only with beautifully designed vehicles with the right range, but also with the right quality, durability, reliability, and battery technology that, we really have significant, I think, a leadership position.
Now, let me acknowledge that Mary is stuck between a rock and a hard place because Tesla's absolutely wiping the floor with General Motors. And if she answers honestly and says, well, Tesla, they're kicking our ass right now, we're hoping to catch up, she's going to get a lot of flack from the board and many others within General Motors. Why'd you even mention that brand? They're so far ahead of us. Every consumer now that looks at Tesla is going to realize they've got better products and never buy another one of our GM products again. So I get it. But in either case, this is a really big red flag over the long term. I'd much rather a CEO who has honesty and integrity rather than a politician running the company.
We've been working on battery electric vehicles for 2 decades. And so we're going to take all of that experience, the great learning that we've had with the Chevrolet Bolt EV and now the Bolt EUV, and put all that energy into our brands across the board to win customers. So I take everyone very seriously, but I think we're exceptionally well positioned.
Yeah, speaking of Musk, he said recently that Tesla would consider accepting Bitcoin again if it became more environmentally friendly. You said at the end of March, when asked on a call about whether General Motors would accept Bitcoin, you said if there's strong consumer demand for it, there's nothing that precludes us from doing that. Have you thought more about it? Will General Motors accept Bitcoin?
Our position remains the same. There's nothing that precludes us from doing that. We'll be driven by our customers. Certainly, we want to make the whole buying and ownership experience as easy as possible, so we'll follow their lead.
It's got to be said, following their lead appears to be exactly what GM is doing when it comes to Tesla. As I said at the beginning of this video and throughout, the problem is they're way too late to the party. Now, I want to be really clear. I believe of all the legacy automotive manufacturers, Toyota are the most They're absolutely screwed. I'm not going to go into that. Incompetent leadership, they are done. However, Volkswagen have the best chance of surviving this decade. Shout out to Dieselgate. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Anyway, we won't go there. That being said, I think that General Motors, Ford, and pretty much every other name you can think of are all toast. Now, there will be some exceptions to the rule, but those that do survive, they don't get acquired, merge, or go bankrupt this decade, will be a shell of the former company, doing tiny volumes compared to what they're doing today, and having gone through a huge contraction, bled tens of billions of dollars in losses, and ultimately sat on the sidelines watching Tesla eat their lunch. I know this may sound hyperbolic and overly dramatic, but I'm dead serious. The writing is on the wall. Legacy Automotive are screwed. They're so far behind. As I mentioned in this video, General Motors are aiming to produce 1 million electric vehicles mid-decade in 2025. The same point in time, Tesla's going to be producing 5, 6, 7 million EVs. By the end of the decade, Tesla's around 20 million, and these companies, if they're still around at that point in time, will be lucky to be producing 500,000, 750,000, maybe 1 million electric vehicles and no ICE vehicles whatsoever. I'm going to be here to document the demise of every single one of these Titanics. The writing is on the wall, and the hilarious thing is that these companies in general don't even see it coming. What's going to happen over the next few years and throughout the decade is this. You can mark my words. Every one of these legacy automotive manufacturers, one after the other, is going to continually announce, hey, we're investing more in EVs. Hey, we're accelerating our plan to produce even more EVs even sooner. And this is going to keep happening and happening and happening and happening and happening and happening while their losses continue to mount as they transition, get rid of equipment, staff, etc., retool, blah, 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 invest in R&D. And slowly, one by one, each of these companies is going to be sinking to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The question I have for you guys, so please let me know in the comments below. What's your estimate for the exact date that General Motors will once again file for bankruptcy? This time for good. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget, if you'd like up to $250 in free crypto bonuses with BlockFi, use the link in the description. You can also get 2 free stocks with WeBull and a free stock with Stake, also linked in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.